What's going on, Transcendent Family? Welcome to Skinny to Pro, episode 6, and I'm back again. So today's video, we're going to talk about how to grow your arms. And this was actually inspired by episode 5. It's already a point of emphasis I want to bring up on my physique. So I was like, you know what, since I'm doing it anyways, let me go ahead and put you all on game on how you can actually get these arms looking nice and huge. So let's jump in. All right, you all, so I'm post men's Bible study. Remember, that is a Friday occasion. I'm getting back into it transparently. I've been on and off with it recently, but I just love opening up my Friday mornings like that. So what I'm actually about to do now is get some breakfast going. So today we got some potatoes, we got some ground turkey, we got some eggs. I'm gonna throw the macros, of course, right here. And we're gonna go ahead and jump into the day. The day is pretty busy. And there's actually something that may affect my workout later, and I'm gonna get into it a little bit more. I was honestly thinking about not even doing the video, but I was like, you know what? Made a commitment. We're gonna get a Skinny to Pro episode going every single week leading up to the show. So that's what we got. But yeah, check those macros out. I'm about to go ahead and get this food down, and then I got a lot of work I need to do before I actually go and train some clients a little bit later. So I gotta go ahead and jump in. All right, y'all, so at the gym, just finished training some clients, and what I was alluding to earlier where I was saying I may actually not even record today, but I was like, forget it, I'm just gonna push through. I ended up hurting my back yesterday, crazy, and I really didn't want that to be an excuse because I am not the first, and unfortunately won't be the last person that gets hurt during prep. And one thing I can say is, it is a blessing that it ended up happening this early in prep because I have time to heal, recover from it. And even how I'm feeling today, it's not the best, but I feel like I should be able to get back to 100%, especially before things start to really, kind of pile on. I'm having to do a lot of posing each and every day. But long story short, this is what I kind of felt like led to me getting hurt, is I was doing some bents over shrugs, right? So, regular shrugs are right here. And I was doing a program and it had bents over shrugs. So you would come here, and right when I get here, I can kind of feel that pain in my lower back, but you would get here and then you would do the shrugs from this position, which I know some of you all that are newer to training may be like, what's the difference between here and here? It's really just the angle thing, right? And a lot of times when you're working out, you're playing with angles. So I'll give you a great example with the biceps. If you're doing a spider curl, right, where you have your chest on an incline bench and you're curling, the emphasis is the peak contraction, meaning the emphasis is here. When I get here, this is where the weight is the heaviest, then it gets lighter, 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 nothing, right? Versus the incline curl where I'm sitting on the bench and I'm inclined and I'm here, the highest point of tension is in the stretch position here. It's a lot from this point, and then it's nothing here, right? So both are curls, but they're emphasizing two different parts of the movement. So, when I do these incline shrugs, this is my first time doing them, I'm like, you know what? Like, this could emphasize getting the shoulders back a little bit more. Let's give it a shot. I honestly should have took the weight down, but even after the first set, I warmed up just the barbell, ended up getting up to 225 and doing it. And first set, I was like, you know what? Second set, I need to make sure I'm getting my core braced a little bit more before I go into it. Going to the second set, I'm doing 245, and I'm like, something just feels like a little off. But of course, what I do one more set, finish off my third set, and I finish the rest of the workout. I feel like I feel pretty fine. I wake up the next morning, I'm kind of like, I feel a little weird, lower back, but it's not a pain. It's just like something's a little off. That happened last week. Fast forward to this week, I'm getting back into sprinting, or at least that was the goal. It's gonna be my first day sprinting yesterday. And I do my warm up. I'm pretty sure you all see in my videos, or I always do. I do my Cossack squat. I go to one side, I hold, really get that leg opened up, and then I go to the other side. I did it on the right side, right? And mind you, I usually do this barefoot or with flat shoes. I have running shoes on, so the balance is a little wonky. So I do it on the right side, that's my strongest side. I come over, do it on the left, and I'm like, I need to drop my hips back a little bit more so I can sink in. I drop my hips back, my back is like and I immediately stand up. I'm like, ah, and I try to walk, and then it's just like shooting pains. I'm like, ooh, this is crazy. I had to call my wife. We had to go to Jehovah Rapha and get some healing, and he's already providing that. But yeah, long story short, I would say that when it comes to getting older, because I know some people will be like, hey man, you just get old. And I hate when people say that, because you can strength train for years, decades on decades. What really changes as you get older is your assessment of risk, right? Because your recovery does start to change. And so for me, what that taught me the other day is, hey, if something's not feeling right, I need to make an adjustment immediately, even if it's not something that's painful. It's like something just feels a little weird, immediate adjustment. It feels weird again, we just throw it out. Like I could easily just did regular shrugs. Probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. But anyways, I wanted to fully just dive into that real quick, because I know there's a lot of people that, you get a little bit older, you get into your 30s, which isn't old, and you're just like, knees, ankles, all that. It's like, one, you just need to take care of yourself better. And then two, when it comes to the amount of risk that you take on, you do need to bring that down. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into today's workout, and I'm gonna give you all a game in between the sets. Let's get it. All right, y'all, so when you really want to bring up a particular muscle group, one of the best things you can do, one of the easiest adjustments you can make to your training program is actually work on that target muscle that you want to bring up first. Now, I know some of you are like, that's just common sense, duh. The reality is, when you first start strength training, what you're going to want to do is stick with compound movements, things such as squats, pull-ups, deadlifts, because it's going to work more of your entire body. It's going to prime your central nervous system and just get you used to strength training, give you the biggest bang for your buck. Now, after you've been doing that for some time, you're thinking to yourself, I want to bring up a certain muscle group. That's when it can make sense to say, okay, let me actually prioritize it and do it first in my training program when I have the most amount of energy and focus to put toward it. And so I can't stress this enough. If you're newer to the gym, you're going to want to prioritize compound movements above isolation exercises when you first get into it. I'm not saying you'll never be able to do it, but back to the central nervous system debate, and I know some of you all are just like, listen, I don't care about all that, I just want to look good. Even if that's your training focus, there's a clear difference between someone that's been lifting for 10 years and someone that's been lifting for 2 years, right? Just in the way their muscles look, the graininess, the hardness, the muscle maturity is what they call it. It's really hard to develop that if you're only doing isolation exercises. And the reason being, when we talk about the central nervous system, is if you can increase your body's ability to be able to summon strength and output power, that's going to increase how much you can lift across every single lift, right? Think about your central nervous system being an amplifier for speakers. It doesn't matter how big your speaker system is. If you have a small amplifier, you're not going to be able to use the maximum potential of your speakers. But if you get a bigger amp that has more capacity, you can make even smaller speakers boom, right? And so think about that example and apply it to your muscles. You increase your overall muscle base and your ability to summon strength. When you do get to these isolation exercises, you're going to notice that you can push yourself a lot harder, train harder, you'll be able to recover better, and that's what's going to lead to those bigger gains. So that's really why you're going to want to stick with compound movements being the bulk focus of your movements when you first start lifting. once you've been training for some time, like I said, putting the emphasis on a muscle group that you want to grow and actually doing it first in your workout and in your training is just a huge unlock. And for me, that's what I've been doing the last 3 weeks. And so what that looks like is I'll come in and I'll actually do my shoulders first, as you saw today with the lateral raises. Then I went straight into biceps, and then I'm about to do a little bit of back. But I'm prioritizing the muscles that I want to bring up, especially to be able to fit in my division. I wanted to show you all a different workout earlier in the week. Again, didn't have time to actually record it, but similar, I started with just my triceps, and then another workout earlier in the week, I started with biceps. And like I said, it's a huge unlock because there's just so much more focus and energy I have toward those lifts. There were certain lifts that I was doing where I was lifting 10 to 15 pounds heavier just because I was going in completely fresh, which leads me to what I was about to tell you all in the last video. So yeah, as we were discussing in last week's video, my arms actually got smaller and I was kind of starting to notice it and I was like, man, what's going on? Well, it kind of goes to what I was saying before. The muscles that you prioritize in the beginning of the workout, that's where most of your energy and focus is going to be able to go to in that session. And I do think that while I said even for newbies, it's very important that you prioritize compound movements. The movements that you do after that, feel free to switch up the order sometimes, just depending on what you're trying to accomplish. I realized for me, for far too long, I had really kept my arm movements all the way at the end of my training. So anything I was doing for my biceps and triceps, I'm doing it as my last sets. And I was primarily doing full body workouts, or there was time periods where I was doing all upper body, but again, my biceps and triceps were the last sets that I was doing. And so what that would lead to is by the time I get to the end of the session, you know, I'm burnt out, I'm fighting for survival. You can even argue that at times it was junk volume just because there was so much volume and the arms got the least priority because at the end of the session. But now that I've started to place the emphasis and put them first, that's when I'm starting to notice this growth in my gains. And of course, that's gonna translate to the size as well. But Transcendent Family, that's all I have for you all today. Remember, if you're trying to grow your arms and you've been training for some time, throw it in the beginning of your workouts. And if you're recovering enough, it doesn't even necessarily have to look like every single workout has to start with arms, right? It just may mean certain workouts throughout the week. It really just depends on you, your training volume, your recovery. And that's the fun thing about training. It really is specific, like individual preferences and really just where you're at in your life. There is no one size all fits prescription. There is like a general guideline, but you gotta tailor it to yourself. And if you're ever getting stuck with those things, I am a coach, so you can reach out to me and I'll love to get you going so you can get some gains. But without further ado, hit that subscribe button. This is episode 6, I can't believe it. We're already at episode 6. And like I said, the goal is to release a Skinny to Pro episode every single week leading up to a show, and I will announce the show that I'm kind of targeting soon. I'm not gonna tell you which show it is because, you know, I'm not old school. I'm new to the sport of bodybuilding, but I do want to kind of pop out, but I can at least give you all a date, so stay tuned for that. Listen, if you love this style of video where I'm just giving you all a game, we're talking about programming, we're talking about how to grow your muscles, like nutrition, all these different things. If you want me to dive deeper, if you feel like, hey, let's rein it in a little bit and make it a little bit more layman's terms, give me some feedback. After you tap the like button, that's what the comment section is for. Comment, leave your boy some feedback because, hey, at the end of the day, I'm doing all this so I can help you all. We're going on this journey together. And without further ado, you know I love you, but most importantly, Jesus loves you. Peace.